Greg, could you tell us some of the reasons why the U.S. dollar has been so strong over the past several months?
Yeah, that's a good question, and this has been a big surprise to some people. But what you're seeing is that we're at the end stages of basically 40 to 50 years of abuse of our system of credit and constitutional values. The consequences are starting to show up, and so what happens is it's like the last man standing. On a ship, when a ship is sinking, right? The smart people go to the highest point, right? And even though they know the ship's going to sink, they go to the highest point knowing that they'll be the last ones in the water, right? So I look at it, if you're on a lower part of the ship, you're in a worse currency than the dollar. The dollar is still being viewed as the stronger of all these weak currencies. They're all weak and they all have problems, but the dollar is still the strongest because we're still the benchmark currency. The dollar is still the currency of choice. The petrodollar, all oil contracts are still paid for in dollars, even though many other people are trying to change that. And this is what people are going to. They're going to the dollar as a refuge, right? Well, it'll last for a little bit, but as we know, sooner or later, the dollar is going to continue to weaken and I think eventually collapse. So at that point, again, this is where the precious metals will do phenomenally well.
So, Greg, what happens when the U.S. dollar collapses?
Well, this is a tough topic, because I don't come across, I don't never want to be looked upon as a doom and gloom person. I'm always hoping for the best, but I prepare for the worst. And with what I see, I'm always looking, over the last few years, I am always looking for a way through this. How do we get through this? What's the way back to prosperity and good times again? And that's my goal. But in the meantime, the politicians are making it so difficult for me to see a way through this anymore that it's increasingly looking like we're going to go through some just terrible situations here. So in order, instead of burying my head in the sand, I'd rather prepare for it, all right? So if we do get to that, and I'm asked that question a lot, Greg, are we going to see a dollar collapse, a worldwide economic collapse? Is it possible? I say, yes, it's possible, and it's becoming increasingly likely that is going to happen. As every month goes by, I see opportunities to make the right choice, and then governments and administrators keep making the wrong choices. So this is adding up now, and it's starting to really become a major concern because there's other major bubbles that are about ready to be popped, okay? In addition to the dollar bubble, the real estate bubble, now we have the commercial real estate bubble that looks like that's the next shoe that's going to drop. And as that drops, then you have all the associated derivatives with that market that are going to blow up, right? On top of that, the biggest of all the bubbles is the Treasury bill bubble that looks like it'll burst, towards the end of this year, early next year. That will be when I think the dollar collapses. So if that happens, I think what you're going to have at that point is a major scramble. That's when you're going to see civil unrest. You're going to see all kinds of problems. You'll see major unemployment. And what the U.S. government, I think, is going to do is they will be forced at that point to demonetize the dollar, which means that the dollar will no longer be used or able to pay for goods and services. It'll be defunct. So what are they going to do? They're going to create a new currency. And the new currency will be how they try to resurrect themselves. A government. What's in the interest of a government that has enormous debt that can't possibly be paid back? Simply switch currencies, right? Because who gets screwed in that? Not the government. It's the savers. It's the people who hold the money in that currency, the old currency, who hold the T-bills of that currency. They're the ones that take it in the shorts. So I think what do you think the government's going to do? Are they going to protect us or them? They're going to protect them. So right after the demonetization of the dollar, when that comes, the next statement you'll hear will be a very chilling statement. It'll be, oh, by the way, for every 100 US dollars you have in your bank account, you now get 10, 20, 30 Ameros of the new currency, right? Now, the Amero, that's a lot of speculation about that. Is that the new currency of choice? Obviously, there's a